All right, we are live on Zoom and live on YouTube. With that, I'll turn the floor over to the chair.
Very good. We'll call the February 14th, 2024 meeting of the Rockbridge County Planning Commission to order. At this time, we're going to start by welcoming 2 new members of the Planning Commission, and we also have a new county attorney. So I will let Chris do some introductions.
Yes, on January 22nd, 2024, the Board of Supervisors appointed Mr. Tom Beebe to represent the Walkers Creek Magisterial District. With that, I'll let Tom provide a few comments.
I live in North End of County on High Rock Road, and I'm 2 years retired from home building. And happy to do a little community service.
Welcome.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely. Yes, sir.
Appreciate that.
And our second newest member is essentially brand new this week. On February 12th, 2024, the Board of Supervisors appointed Mr. Adam Sandridge to fill Mr. Lucas's unexpired term to represent the South River Magisterial District. Mr. Lucas did want me to pass along that due to family health concerns, issues, and other obligations, he resigned from the Planning Commission last month. He also wanted me to express his appreciation, gratitude for all members of the Planning Commission staff and the members of the public, essentially, for his support throughout the years with the Planning Commission.
When is his unexpired term? I mean, when does it end?
That is going to be March of 2025, I believe it is. So
great. Okay, thank you. Would you like to offer?
I've been back in the county for about 12 years. I live in the South River District area at 101 Sunnybrook Road in Fairfield, and I'm currently working. I don't have the pleasure of being retired like Tom, but I'm just looking forward to serving the community.
Perfect.
Thank you. Welcome. Now we have Ms. Huffman to introduce the county, a new county attorney.
Yes, ma'am. I have sitting with me John Dryden. The board approved his contract of employment as the next county attorney at their meeting night before last. He started yesterday, and there will be a transition period for a couple of weeks, and then he'll be official on March 1st when I'm retired.
Well, congratulations. Yeah. Would you like to say a few words?
Just it's my pleasure to be able to be here and serve y'all. Some of you know me, and we were overseas for a number of years. We were privileged to live in a house that Chairman Hennis's husband built for us.
How about that?
So,
right.
But anyway, we've been back in the county again for about 2 years, and
Well,
do what I can to help.
welcome. We look forward to working with you. I want to say welcome to everybody. We're so happy to have a full board up here again. So I really appreciate that. Look forward to working with both of you guys as well as with Mr. Dryden. I'd like to also take an opportunity to say thank you to Ms. Huffman for your professionalism, your assistance with Planning Commission. I mean, you have all the answers, and we've really appreciated being able to turn to you each week or each month to say, what should we do here? And you always have the answers. So I appreciate that. We will now proceed with the roll call. Commission Member Hennis, I'm here. Commission Member Kramer.
Here.
Commission Member Sandridge.
Here.
Commission Member Whitmore.
Here.
Commission Member Beebe. Yay, all 5 people. In addition to citizens attending the meeting in person, citizens have several options to view or participate in the Zoom meeting webinar as described below. We'll do our best to take citizen comment remotely. There are 2 options for citizens to offer comment. 1, to join the Rockbridge County Planning Commission Zoom webinar. The link is available on the county website to copy into the address line on your browser. 2, to join by telephone. You may dial into one of the numbers listed on the county website. Webinar ID and password are there for your convenience. Citizens wishing to simply view the meeting live or after the fact can do so on the Rockbridge County Planning Commission YouTube channel, also available on the county website. If you wish to make a citizen comment as a Zoom meeting participant, you will use the raise your hand feature. You can press the raise hand button on the bottom of your Zoom window or press *9 if you're calling in by telephone. This time we are ready to proceed with the meeting, and we have citizen comments if anyone is here physically to speak on anything that is not on the agenda this evening.
No one has signed up, and as far as if anyone would like to utilize the raise the hand button for citizen comments, now is the appropriate time. Not seeing any. Turn the floor back over to the chair.
Okay, we are on to the minutes. Has everybody had an opportunity to review the minutes from the last meeting? Do we have a motion?
I make a motion to accept the minutes as submitted.
We have a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. And the motion passes. The minutes are accepted as presented. Board reports. So we have staff will give an update on the board reports.
Yes, several things to go from the January 22nd meeting with the Board of Supervisors and then the meeting on Monday night. Starting with the January 22nd, the Board of Supervisors received the 2023 annual report from the Speedway, Natural Bridge Speedway. As y'all know, per conditions, they're required to come provide an annual report to the Board of Supervisors essentially at their first meeting. That no action is required except for accepting the report, and that was done. There was also resolutions to ratify compensation increases to the BZA and Planning Commission members. And so what has happened, and while we went through the budget process and increased the Planning Commission's monthly stipend, if you will, we did not do the correct resolutions to do that. So going through this process, as always, Ms. Huffman said, yeah, I don't think we ever did a resolution. So we did a resolution to ratify the compensation increases for both the Planning Commission and Board of Supervisors. There's no other additional compensation increases in the foreseeable future. With that being said, of course, we already reviewed the appointment of Mr. Beebe to the Planning Commission, and they appointed Ms. Hennis to continue to serve on the Tourism Corridor Overlay. So we appreciate that service. Moving towards Monday, February 2nd, or excuse me, February 12th, 2024, Board of Supervisors meeting, reviewed the appointment of Mr. Sandridge to the PC, to the Planning Commission. The Andrew Special Exception Permit for a wedding event venue or Board and Grant Trail. The Board of Supervisors denied that special exception permit per the Planning Commission recommendation. The Donald rezoning on the corner of Sterrett and Brownsburg Turnpike. The Board of Supervisors declined to open the public hearing, essentially to allow additional time for the landowner to continue exploring the possibility of submitting proffers associated with the rezoning application. And in a nutshell, proffers are voluntary. Obviously, we know that, and they have to be accepted prior to the Board of Supervisors opening the public hearing. So really, since the Planning Commission, there's been several landowners that have expressed some concerns on the proposed, not only the proposed use of the apple orchard and other agricultural activities, but other future uses that are allowed in the agricultural general zoning district. So they thought it was best just to, again, to not hold the public hearing, to allow Ms. Donald to continue exploring the possibility of those proffers. Lastly, at that meeting, the Board of Supervisors held their public hearing for the zoning text amendments for parks and playgrounds and recreational centers, indoor recreational facilities, and the Board of Supervisors approved those zoning text amendments as recommended by the Planning Commission. There was no BZA and there was no TCO.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda, Christopher and Kelly Johansson, 3952 Bratton's Run, Goshen, Virginia, 24439, have a public hearing application for special exception permit to develop and operate a campground in the agricultural transitional AT zoning district. We have a presentation by staff. And
Yes, prior to turning the floor over to Mr. Johansson representing the project, I'd like to share my screen just to get y'all oriented with the location and surrounding zoning. Christopher and Kelly Johansson, 3952 Bratton's Run, Goshen, Virginia, have made an application for a special exception permit to develop and operate a campground. The property is owned by Christopher and Kelly Johansson, with the address above is located on the south side of Bratton's Run Road, further identified as 3952 Bratton's Run Road. So you can see the parcels outlined here in red. Property is located in the agricultural transitional zoning district. I'll go ahead and put the zoning district on there. As y'all know, the pink on the map is the transitional zone. It is bordered by industrial zoning district to the rear, but other than that, surrounded by the transitional zone on the three sides. Per section 603B.03-8 of the County of Rockbridge Land Development Regulations, campgrounds are used by special exception in the agricultural transitional zoning district. Property is further identified as tax map number 12-1-B It consists of 2 acres per tax records. In your package, we have 3 conditions that could be utilized for the campground. And they've been slightly modified on the conditions that y'all have in front of you. Of course, you have a motion to approve and a motion, several different motions in front of you. And there has been some slight modifications since the agenda item was posted. With that, I'd like to turn the floor over to Mr. Johansson to review further details of the proposed project.
Good afternoon.
Welcome.
Afternoon.
Uh-huh.
Hold on. So.
Yeah, I can pull this up. I think best thing to do, we can pull this back up and you could just go over the proposal. As you know, we advertise these as a campground. This is very similar to a previous application 2 months ago associated with a single use, a single unit, in this case, a mobile tiny home. So I will turn off the zoning and you can utilize this just for location,
Yes.
ingress, egress to the property, that type of thing.
So we're looking to add a tiny house and it would meet, property line requirements.
Setbacks.
Setbacks,
Mhm.
thank you. And kind of where my mouse is, I'm not sure if the attached.
Yes, there is an
Photo.
attachment that shows
Okay,
where it
yeah.
is. Mhm.
So we have a similar tiny house in Powhatan, Virginia. And I've attached a copy of the one that we're looking at bringing in. As you can see, it's very appealing and not quite like a mobile home or anything.
Right.
But is there any questions?
How will the people enter the property? Is there going to be a new road?
There is this shed right here. So we has an established driveway by it. So we were hoping to use that.
Okay.
And then, so they would come in, there's a driveway by this, looks like it used to be horse barn or of some sort, but now it's just kind of a out shed. And then bring it down to where the tiny house would be.
And you're going to hook onto public water here?
Yes, it's city water, and then we would have septic, and then I've already met with Clark about electric.
So your septic system will sustain another property. I mean,
I
basically
think we're just
another
gonna
house.
add one for the tiny house. And,
Okay. So you're going to have to extend your septic field.
well, no, we're gonna do an individual, like an individual, like, it's not gonna be, the septic isn't gonna be running off the current septic for the main house. It's gonna be its own.
It's going to have its own little septic field. Okay,
Yes.
understood. Okay. You all have any questions for the
Has
applicant?
that been approved, that septic field yet?
We haven't had it engineered yet. I've had a septic person come out and look at it. And he said it'd probably be better off just to do its own septic for the tiny house rather than, churn it, pump it and put it over. Because I don't think the septic of the main house would hold an additional bathroom.
Did he say it wasn't John Burleson, was it?
I have to look through my phone.
Is there room for a septic field there?
Yes, I think the reserve for the main house is right in that field.
Yeah, can you have to establish a new reserve? Like, it could be behind the house or anything. It doesn't have to be downhill. That'd be worth you getting done, because that could be a holdup.
Yeah, that'll definitely be engineered and done properly.
How many campers will be at this little tiny household?
One,
Just one?
it'll be, yes, one unit. Yes, sir.
And what's the estimated stay?
I believe we had talked about not allowing anybody longer than 14 days. And would that apply for us as a owner using it?
So it's good questions. In your package or in your motions in front of you, again, slightly altered from the package, we have location of the camping area shall be in substantial compliance with the plans title, proposed location of mobile tiny house, Johansson tract, tax map number 121B, dated January 15, 2024. So that would limit the location of the said tiny house. Number two, campground is limited to one camper, and these are modified. These obviously are just draft conditions that could be utilized. Campground is limited to one camper, mobile tiny house, RV, travel trailer, or park model RV. And I did want to make that clarification. Mr. Johansson and I started talking about an additional dwelling on the single lot. It is only 2 acres in an agricultural transitional zone. You would be required to have 4 acres in order to do a second home. And so if this was a tiny house on wheel, we would be administratively approving, I should say, the zoning portion of the building permit. However, since it's on wheels, we consider it an RV per our definition. That's also included in the package. So then as far as the question, in hand, duration of stays for patrons not to exceed blank number of days in a calendar year. So I did think that was important to say patrons, because friends friends essentially, or family, I should say, will also be utilizing this, for no compensation. So I think that's clarified with the patrons. And then blank number of days in a calendar year would allow repeat users, if you will. So someone might come down for a long weekend and then want to do that 2 or 3 times throughout the year. That would not prohibit it. It wouldn't be continuous days.
I was going to say maybe, so do we need something? Because I mean, obviously we don't want somebody that's a patron to come in and stay. I mean, how long are we going to let them stay there? Because then it becomes a residence. Right?
Well, that's what it is. Duration of stays for patrons not to exceed blank number of
But
days.
it says in a calendar year. I'm talking about consecutive days. So if they come, so even if you say 14, we're okay if they say 14 days in a row.
That would be the discussion we would have, yes. And then the fourth and final condition, draft condition, I should say, is approval contingent upon building department, Virginia Department of Transportation, and health department approvals.
Okay. So if they stay for 14 days in a row, that's it. It's one and done. They can't come back for a weekend at Christmas or, whatever. That's it. But
limiting to you, should it be a little more than 14? If I was running it, maybe have a spring and fall customer.
Yeah, I mean, if that
are they going
was,
to come for 14 days in the spring and in the fall?
Well, you wouldn't think, but
yeah, I mean,
Want that is
I'll
the
say
other thing.
at the tiny house that we have in Powhatan, we usually see people stay no more than a week.
14 covers.
Are they
14 would
repeat?
cover it. I mean, I don't know if 21 would be acceptable, but I'll take what you can give me, I guess.
Right. I just don't know. Would you want somebody there for 21 days in a row? Like if they
Right.
decided to
Maybe
stay.
like 21 days over the year, but no more than 7 consecutive, or
That'd be perfect.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm thinking.
That's a good.
but that
Should
just
be
to clarify, that wouldn't we plan on using it as family and owners. That would
Right.
not
You wouldn't be a
apply-
patron.
Okay,
You wouldn't be a
patron.
paying customer, so
I
that
just
would
wanna
not
make sure
apply.
that-
Right.
It's single stay is not to exceed
7
7
days.
days.
21 days in a calendar year, and then a single stay not to exceed 7 days.
With no more than 7 consecutive days.
Right.
Okay.
Now, are your patrons in Powhatan like repeat customers that just love the area and come back to it?
We
'Cause
have
we don't
some.
want to restrict you too much.
Right. We have some. And again, I don't know if I don't want to push limits by any means. Just thinking about it, so the tiny house we have in Powhatan is I think only 215 square feet. This is going to be 399 square feet. That's what we're planning on doing. So I don't know, would 10 days be acceptable as a
I was
consecutive
actually
stay?
thinking about 10 days because you
Okay.
might want to encompass
Yeah.
2 weekends.
with me.
I think that's okay. No more than 10 days, consecutive days. Yeah, I think that's fair. Mhm.
Do you live on the property in the main residence or?
No, that's a visit, and we also short-term rental.
It's a short-term rental?
Yes.
You guess, question for Chris. The pictures from the one in Powhatan, looks like the deck's permanently installed, and the picture one, the depiction of what you want to do, looks like it's up on blocks where it could be rolled off and moved. Does that matter to us?
Well, it definitely has to be considered, the per section 302.34 of the regulations, campground is defined as any plot of ground used, maintained, or held out to the public wholly or in part as temporary accommodation for tents, expandable camp trailers, travel trailers, converted buses, or trucks, or other such devices that may be developed and marketing for camping. whether privately or publicly owned, and whether such use is accommodation granted for free or for compensation. So the mobile part is important. I mean, it's my understanding with conversations with building department, with the building official, I should say, that, you know, the permits associated with this one would be potentially the electrical permit and then any health department requirements, but they're not inspecting the actual unit itself, is my understanding.
And the
And it
health-
would still be on a trailer, correct?
Yes, and the
Yeah.
health department would be septic, right?
That's correct, yes. So it's very similar, in my opinion, the one that's in picture one is very similar to what we consider a park model RV.
Yeah.
You know, because if you go to a Jellystone, for example, they have those on the left and they certainly look more like permanent dwellings, I'll use the
Mhm.
word, rather than a park model RV.
Would I be allowed to build a deck up to that deck?
Yeah, I mean, the decks, to answer that question, I mean, the decks would be a standalone structure, and I'm confident you would have to get a building permit for those. But as long as they're, in my opinion, as long as they're not attached to the RV, I think we're in good shape, because that's not uncommon for other
Right.
campgrounds to have, you know, landings
Pull
and that
up
type
to
of thing.
that, yeah.
Yes.
And as far as the one that you said you're using as a short-term rental, you've got all the permits and with the
Yes, it's
county, you're
registered with
registered and all
Rockbridge
that. So
yes, yes,
you're in compliance with that.
Yes.
How many days a year do you rent that out generally?
I mean, it's up for rental 365 days a year.
Okay, and that'll
Um,
be the same for the tiny house, 365
That would
days.
be our plan, yes. ma'am.
Anything else from you guys? No? Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time.
Okay, at this time, we're going to open the public hearing. Is there anyone here that would like to speak? Seeing no one, we're going to look at the computer and phone to see if we have anybody there.
Apologize, I did not stop sharing on that side. If anyone would like to make a comment during citizen comments, please utilize the raise your hand button now. Not seeing any, turn the floor back to the chair.
Okay, we will close the public hearing at this time and bring it back to the board for discussion or the motion. Any further discussion on this? Okay. You ready?
Yep.
Very good.
I make a motion to recommend to the Board of Supervisors that the special exception permit for a campground in agricultural transitional A-T zoning district per LDR section 603B .03-8 on 2.0 acres located at 3952 Bratton's Run, Goshen, Virginia, and identified as tax map number 12-1-B, the Walker's Creek Magisterial District be approved with the following conditions. Number one, location of the camping area shall be in a substantial compliance with the plans titled Proposed Location of Mobile Tiny House dash Johansson track TN number 12-1-B dated January 15th, 2024. Number two, campgrounds limited to one camper, mobile tiny house, RV, travel trailer, or park model RV. Number three, duration of stays for patrons not to exceed 21 days in a calendar year with no more than 10 consecutive days. Number four, approval continued on building department, Virginia Department of Transportation, VDOT, and health department approvals.
Okay, we have a motion. Got a second? All in favor? Aye. And we will recommend approval to the Board of Supervisors. Thank you. Okay. Moving on, agenda item number 7, Rockbridge County, 150 South Main Street, Lexington, Virginia, 24450. Have a public hearing on the application for a zoning text amendment to modify sections 302, specific definitions to define, am I on the wrong one?
You are, I was on skip ahead, but that's all right. We do have number 6. Yes,
Sorry,
ma'am.
I missed one. Sorry about that. Back it up. Charles R. Flint Senior and Rebecca L. Flint, 193 Parsons Lane, Natural Bridge, Virginia, 24578. Application for a special exception permit to place a manufactured home in the general business B1 zoning district.
Yes, let me share my screen real quick. In attendance, we have Mr. Charles Flint and his daughter-in-law, correct? So the property owners, Mr. Charles Flint Senior and Rebecca L. Flint, their mailing address is 193 Parsons Lane. This particular project is not associated with their mailing address, have made an application for a special exception permit to place a manufactured home in the general business district. The properties are located on the north side of Faulkner Highway, approximately 95 feet west of the intersection of Glades Lane, which is a private road in Faulkner. The properties are owned by Charles R. Flint Sr. and Rebecca L. Flint, and are further identified as tax map numbers 108-A, 45, and 47. So they are all highlighted here in red. The properties were formerly identified as 11 Glades Lane, Glasgow, Virginia, 24555. And I say formally known as Mr. and Mrs. Flint got the proper approvals, asbestos abatement, and proper demolition approvals to demo the existing single-family dwelling that was on the property, and have made plans, are obviously making plans to relocate or replace that with a single-wide manufactured home. Per section 605.03-13 of the regulation, manufactured homes are used by special exception in the general business zone. The properties are located in the magisterial district. With that, I'd like to turn the floor over to follow up with any questions or concerns.
Hey, welcome. Good.
We had a stick-built house. It was falling down. So we went ahead and we tore it down. We got the asbestos to come in. They removed it correctly. Luke Green did. And we have went and found a mobile home to put there. Then we realized we had to go through all this. So
Okay,
we're hoping.
gotcha. You guys have any questions for the applicant?
What are the lot sizes here? The three, I'm just curious. Are they quarter acre? What was that?
25 by 140.
So
That's
25
75
feet in
total.
width and 140 feet in length. And that's obviously
Whatever that is, acreage wise,
I can figure out the acreage, but yes.
So it would be in the middle of all, I mean, it's 3 lots. It would be situated on 3 lots, which is 75 by 140.
Has already looked at it and is combining those 3 lots in.
Right? Yeah, that's what I was saying. So if there were 25 by 140, now it's 75 by 140. It's just one big lot.
Right.
Okay, very good.
Setbacks are handled by the building department.
By the zoning department, yes. And so to address that, you have some draft conditions in front of you. One is substantial compliance with the exhibit plat title that could be utilized, I should say, draft conditions that could be utilized. Substantial compliance with the exhibit plat titled Exhibit Plat for Charles R. Flint Sr., prepared by Perkins and Orson, dated January 18th, 2024. That's included in your package. And twofold there is one, it does show the setbacks. I would like to say there most likely is some flexibility on those setbacks. And that's due to the fact that the existing structure had been torn down very recently, last couple of months. And so we have some flexibility with those setbacks because of the non-conforming structure that has been removed, and it's been removed within the last 2 years type thing. The plat does show, to comment on Mr. Flint's, the plat does show those lines to be vacated, but the formal action of vacating those lines, if it had not happened yet, that can either be done by the plat itself or a deed of merger. More commonly, we just do a deed of merger. And so that's another reason that the draft condition is included in your package. And then number 2, draft condition approval contingent on building department, Virginia Department of Transportation, and Health Department and or PSA approvals. And we say Health Department and or PSA approvals. The Flints are currently working through Ms. Huffman and others to get a easement from the Economic Development Authority. You can see here on my screen, this is the existing sewer line that's on the south side of Faulkner Highway. And so they're proposing an easement through the EDA property under the road and through Mr. Locker's property it was. And she does have a deed of easement, a draft deed of easement through the Locker property to obtain public sewer. The house is currently on public water. And so the proposal is to have public sewer going to the property, but we included the health department just so, if that for whatever reason does not look like it's gonna fall through, but if it does, they would have the option of revisiting the use of the drain field.
Thank you. Additional questions?
I'm just curious, so it's possible that this section north of the highway could be all residential?
No, it's not. And let me share my screen again. So we allow, we currently have provisions for single family dwellings in a business zone. That's a permitted use. If it's on public water, it follows the R2, public water and sewer. It follows the R2 setbacks and area requirements. And if it's on a drain field, it's considered R1 as far as setback and area requirements. With that being said, that's for a single family dwelling. In the zoning code and others, a manufactured home and a single family dwelling are considered two different dwellings, if you will. And so looking at the zoning map in the area, the south side of the road, again, the Flint properties are here. The south side of the road is associated with the Natural Bridge Industrial Park. And so it's obviously zoned industrial there. But then zooming out, there's a very large swath of business zone, both on the south side and north side of Walk Faulkner. And so on the map here, gray is obviously industrial with the Natural Bridge Industrial Park. And then all the dark red on the map would be the general business zoning district.
So what's right around it? I mean, there are not other homes right
There's
around it?
there's 28 Glades Lane, which I think is abandoned house. Is that essentially correct? Yeah. So 28 Glades Lane is here. And then you can see that's on that north side of the road. That's the only structure in the immediate vicinity. On the south side is a mini storage facility. Natural Bridge Heating and Air office and shop is on the south side of the road. And then of course the industrial park. And we put to be determined in your draft motion. We had put to be determined. The property was formerly considered 11 Glades Lane. But if you look at it, that was essentially incorrect because it has direct access off Walk Faulkner. So the proper if this is approved and they're able to place it, the proper address will be associated with Walk Faulkner Highway, not Glades Lane.
Even if it faces Glades Lane and
Yes, ma'am.
and the driveway came off of Glades Lane.
If the driveway came off Glades Lane, it would be addressed off Glades Lane, but the driveway is not going to come off of. I mean, the existing driveway comes off Walk Faulkner directly and not associated with Glades Lane.
Okay.
So it's incorrect to begin with to address it off of Glades
I just
Lane.
noticed the way they have it situated. If it's facing Glades Lane, I would think you might drive in off of Glades Lane, but
There is an existing driveway with direct access.
to work on it.
That's
To Walk Faulkner.
easements that's already in force.
So that has always been, it's been a long standing, that has always been, I'm not sure when the original house was constructed. I can actually tell you probably. But that driveway has been in place for quite some time. They are working with Mr. Locker on a deed of easement for the public water and public sewer. I think there's even some conversation of buying 3 lots for that
He's
purpose.
offered us 12 to all the way down through there.
So I was going to ask, Locker owns probably everything around.
He does.
A fair amount, yes. There are some adjacent properties to the west that are not owned by Mr. Locker, but yes.
Aerial picture looks like your lots. Looks like there's buildings half on your lots and half off. Is that correct?
In
or-
there, yeah. That's what it was when we bought the house, and that's,
So I will say the aerial photos are incorrect. I'm sorry, the aerial photos are not incorrect, but yes. So they have a recorded survey showing the location of formerly known as Glades Lane, 11 Glades Lane, and is wholly on the property, unlike that. So there's a shifting issue to the north. And as you can tell by the pictures installed, since that aerial photo has been taken, in my opinion, there's been a major cleanup of the property.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions for the applicant? No, it's pretty straightforward to me. Thank you. Okay, so now we will open the public hearing.
We have a public here, except for Ms. Whitmore.
Okay,
With that being said, we will go to, if you would like to make any comments, please use the raise hand button now. Not seeing any, I'll turn the floor back over to the chair.
okay, we'll bring it back to the board. Any additional questions, comments, concerns? Okay, then we will. Mr. Beebe, would you like to make the
Oh my
recommendation?
goodness. Love me right in.
Put you on the pressure. Put you on
Okay.
the hot seat.
Let's see, I make a motion to recommend to the Board of Supervisors that the special exception permit for a manufactured home in the general business B1 zoning district for LDR section 603B.03-13 located at an address to be determined, Faulkner Highway, Glasgow, Virginia, and identified as tax map numbers 108A2-153-43, 45, and 47 in the Natural Bridge Magisterial District be approved with the following conditions. Substantial compliance with the exhibit plat titled Exhibit Plat for Charles R. Flint Senior, prepared by Perkins Morrison, dated 1/18/24. Approval contingent on Building Department, Virginia Department of Transportation, VDOT, and Health Department, and/or PSA approvals.
We have a motion. One thing to correct, it's 51, so it's 108A2-1-51.43, not 53. So I just want to make sure that's right.
Did I say it wrong?
Yeah, just you said 53 instead of 51. I just want to make sure it's right in the record. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
So we will recommend approval to the Board of Supervisors. Thank you. Thanks for
Thank
coming
you
in.
all.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, now we're ready for the zoning text amendment. Okay, agenda item number 8, zoning text amendment discussion. We are discussing revisions to the definition of restaurants and providing for restaurants associated with the country general store.
We have one more before that. The one that
Why do I keep missing it? There we go. All right, back we go. Rockbridge County, 150 South Main Street, Lexington, Virginia, 24450. Public hearing, application for zoning text amendment to modify sections 302, specific definitions to define car washes, and modifications to section 605 to provide for car washes as a permitted use in the B1 district.
At its December 13th, 2023 meeting, the Planning Commission discussed numerous zoning text amendments, including defining and clarifying the provisions for car washes as a permitted use in the general business zone, B1. At its January 10th, 2024 meeting, the Planning Commission instructed staff to draft language and advertise for a public hearing pertaining to defining and providing for car washes in the B1 district. So in your package, obviously staff followed up accordingly. We have advertised for a public hearing tonight. In your package, we have the draft language under 302A. I'm sorry, 302.35A, the definition of car wash as shown on the screen, and then permitted uses. It would fall under 605.02-48 as a car wash. So essentially how we did this is staff researched various localities in the Commonwealth, and we really just essentially meshed several of them together to come up with the definition that we present to you tonight. This is a bona fide public hearing.
Okay. So can we open the public hearing?
If there's no discussion, yes, ma'am.
You guys have any discussion for this? Okay, so we will open the public hearing, and I don't believe there's anyone here to speak. Do we have
There's
anybody
not.
online?
If anybody like to chat online or make public comments, please use raise your hand button now. Not seeing any, we will turn the floor back over to the chair. And I apologize, we do not have a draft motion, but it would just be making a motion to the Board of Supervisors recommending approval of the zoning text amendments pertaining to car washes.
Okay. Very good. So we'll bring it back to the board. Any discussion? As usual, thank you again for your hard work on this and getting it right. So we would like to have a motion to approve or recommend approval.
A motion to approve.
Here we go. We have a motion to approve as submitted and a
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All in favor? Aye. That one passes as well. So next, we're going to number 8, zoning text amendment discussion. We're going to continue the discussion on revisions to the definition of restaurants and providing for restaurants associated with a country general store.
Yes, at the last meeting, that was in the January 5th meeting, we had a discussion on, having some flexible or providing for, I should say, a restaurant associated with the general store. we started getting into discussion of, the definition of a restaurant in Rockbridge County, somewhat the lack of provisions for food trucks in the current definition. As stated, we currently treat food trucks as restaurants. With that being said, what we have in front of you this evening is the Rockbridge County's current definition, some definitions pertaining to the Code of Virginia, and then various, as always, various other ordinances essentially scattered throughout the Commonwealth of Virginia. With that being said, we would like to continue this discussion next month. We're not prepared, to have much discussion. We have any discussion you want, but we're not as prepared as I'd like to be to talk about it. But did want to show you what we have done to date, and then ask if we could continue the discussion to the March meeting.
Any discussion about that? I think that's a good idea. There's a lot to digest here, and
Yeah, and I would encourage y'all, we can have, in between now and March, we can certainly have individual or two-on-one conversations on the merits of each other locality, what y'all like to see, what you don't like to see, type thing.
okay, very good. Thank you. Comprehensive plan discussion, land use chapter, and setting dates for community meetings.
Yes. So as you know, our goal was to get the land use chapter, our goal was to get the review of the comprehensive plan done in the calendar year of 2024 and 2023. That was easier said than done. In February, March, Vivica, as always, has done a tremendous job on updating all chapters of the land use, all chapters of the existing comprehensive plan. With that, we're still working with the Central Shenandoah Planning District Commission on the two outstanding chapters we have are the transportation chapter and the land use chapter. We are working with the Central Shenandoah Planning District Commission on the land use, on the transportation chapter, and that will essentially be a turnkey chapter that they submit to the community development. We then in return will present that to you. We have started working on the land use chapter. In my opinion, the land use chapter is one of the more predominant chapters that gets public input, receive public comments, that type of thing. So we really would like to just start setting dates for community meetings. We're foreseeing at minimum, I would say 4 community meetings, around the county. Historically, firehouses or libraries, that type of thing is where we would have them. And wanted to so essentially prepare y'all for that, and then potentially set meeting dates this evening. Or staff could certainly, historically what's happened is staff has set the meeting dates, and it's not unusual for the district supervisor and the district planning commission representative to attend their magisterial district community meeting. And so we could continue that. We would like to get this done on the first half of 2024, first quarter of 2024, but I might start calling it the first half of 2024. But it's still on our mind. Of course, we have a lot going on as always, but we are obviously committed to this as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Do we have anything? Do you have anything else, Vivica, to add to that?
The community meetings, though, do you guys want to set these tonight? Conversation.
I'd probably like to be in front of my calendar
Sure.
before we do that. So I think if we could kind of do that by email, I think that would be helpful to throw out some dates and say this works or this.
We can get some proposed venue and some proposed dates and confirm the availability, and then follow up accordingly.
I think that would be ideal for me. Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, if you guys could do that with an email and get the ball rolling on dates that work for you, that would be great. We are on to number 10, Community Development Committee update.
Yeah, so at next month's meeting, we also, as y'all know, as reported in the past, we formed a solar committee. The Board of Supervisors formed a solar committee, so I'd like to tie that committee into this update. But at next month's meeting, we will essentially start talking about board and committee updates and do it all at the same time. So the Community Development Committee met on January 16th, 2024. And as always, it was a very good discussion, reviewing past planning commission meeting, the upcoming Board of Supervisors meeting. We also had some discussion for fire fire and EMS and associated electronic message centers. Of course, we have provisions for electronic message centers for those type of uses. Talked about upcoming planning commission appointments, TCO appointments. The next one will be February 20th, 2024. They're housed at noon on Tuesday, correct? The third Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, it's a holiday Monday, so.
Okay, so this particular one falls on a Tuesday. With that, Mr. Sean Watkins served as, there's two members of the Planning Commission that serve on the Community Development Committee, and two members of the Board of Supervisors. The two board members are Supervisor Lyons and Supervisor Ayers, and previously it had been Commission Member Kramer and Commission Member Watkins. Of course, Mr. Watkins is no longer with the Planning Commission. It doesn't automatically revert to Mr. Beebe, but would like to have the discussion either, it'd be great if we could come up with someone tonight to start joining those monthly meetings. And
One Monday a month.
one Monday a month, starts at noon, usually noon to 2.
Okay.
Explain the actual purpose of the meeting.
The purpose of the meeting, it really started off as, when we started the comprehensive plan update, it started off as sort of a vehicle to have improved communication between board members and planning commission members, particularly about the comprehensive plan. With that being said, we're getting towards the tail end of the comprehensive plan. We've been doing monthly updates with the planning commission for almost a year now on the various chapters of the comprehensive plan. Again, we only have 2 more chapters to go. So that's coming to that is hopefully winding down. But with that being said, this was also to serve as a long-standing committee to improve communication between board members and planning commission representatives. So a lot of it
Will be open discussion. I mean, after the first 2 were going over the comprehensive plan per chapter.
we have
Verbiage.
in the past. So every month, whether it be history, natural resources, all the 8 to 10 chapters we had presented those to the planning commission. We're done with all of them except for transportation and land use chapter. So here lately, the community development committee has not been focused on the comprehensive plan, but rather what has happened previously on the planning commission, what has upcoming on the board of supervisors, zoning text amendments that we've been talking about. It's really just a good time for 2 board members and 2 planning commission members to sit down 2 hours a month just to say what they had done, what each of the boards had done type thing, and other issues zoning is working on.
It works pretty good because our meeting here is between the 2 board of supervisors meetings. And so the community development meeting is the same way. So it's a way to Leslie Ayers and
Dan Lyons.
Dan, yeah, to ask and to talk about subjects that are coming up to them, and also me and you, or
For
whoever,
instance,
for
solar.
us to hear,
solar.
Right.
get the
What's the comprehensive plan for the solar thing?
Right.
What are we looking at?
Right, and
What are
we
the
talked
obstacles?
about the solar, and Chris, the planning, they do a real good job of presenting the nuances in there. And the last one was the best one we've had, just because they had solar and they're staring at the volcano or thing.
Chris, you need me on that thing?
If someone's willing to make a motion, yes. No, I don't think we don't need a formal motion for a committee member, do we? Just
Yeah,
since
well,
it's
arm
a-
wrestling, no.
Yeah. We would love to have
Would
you.
appreciate Mr. Beebe serving on the
That's the
I don't
committee
get my
for the
afternoon
community.
obviously.
Yeah.
Some flexibility there.
Thank you. Yeah,
The
so
retired people are
I
on
was
this
gonna
side.
say
I did not do that by design, but yes, sir. That would be
You
great.
sandbagger. You set me up for this.
I honestly think you would enjoy it. I do think you enjoyed it. It's not over onerous. Let's put it that way.
perfect.
Yeah,
I
perfect.
appreciate that.
We appreciate it.
So
So the next one is the solar committee update. And again, we'll just do this as the board and committee updates of next month. The solar committee met yesterday evening. And we'll meet again on Wednesday, February 26th. Just for everyone, the solar committee obviously is 2 members. One member, Mr. Whitmore, serves on the planning commission, and as well as the solar committee, 1 member of the board of supervisors, Leslie Ayers, a member of Farm Bureau, member of RAC, and 2 community members at large. And so really the purpose of the solar committee was to further develop an ordinance pertaining to solar development, community scale solar, if you will. And so that was our, yesterday evening was our 3rd meeting that we've had. And the committee is productive. We've set goals for the committee, goals for the ordinance, and so that will continue. Our goal is, one goal that the solar committee has is to essentially have some sort of draft ordinance back to the planning commission for review in the next, I would say, 3 months. We said 3 to 4 months at the very beginning of the process. And that will go through the same process as any other zoning text amendment, public hearing with y'all, recommended to the board of supervisors, public hearing with the supervisors.
Do we have any solar projects that are in the pipeline right now?
So we have 1 pending solar application, and that's associated with Volcano Solar LLC in the Rafine area. That is tentatively going to the board of supervisors on their March 11th meeting date. And as far as staff knows, we have 1 other pending project. It's obviously not a formal application, but we've had some discussions, some high-level discussions, if you will, on a proposed 3 megawatt solar facility near the intersection of 81, 64, and 64.
Okay. I just wondered.
Other than that, we're unaware of any, essentially high-level discussions at that time.
Okay.
And the solar committee is meeting twice a month.
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Very good. Any further items that we need to discuss? So I want to take a minute again to say thank you again to Ms. Huffman for your work, and thank you so much for all that you've done for the county. We appreciate that. And I want to say, seriously, I'm so grateful to have both of you on the committee, and I mean on the planning commission with us. So no, I don't think so. I do not think so. So anyway, I appreciate you both agreeing to serve on this. I've been doing this for quite a few years, and I think it's really well worth your time, and it is a great way to give back to the community. So thank you again. So now we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second, all in favor?
Aye.